Hi guys, this is BJ Hathaway here at Augusta Golf Instruction. So this video is for Scott Sanders. He wrote in to us on YouTube and asked, do you have any videos on hooking, pulls, and snaps? So we decided just to do something new. Um, so when we look at ball flight that we're getting, the first thing we have to do is understand why the ball behaves the way it does. So if we look at the top of the screen, we'll see launch direction is equal to face and path. That should be fairly obvious if you've been playing a while, but if you're a new golfer and maybe don't understand that. Then when we look at that a little further, when we talk about the initial direction the ball takes off, so you're looking at a target and you evaluate the shot and you look up and you see the ball fly and you go, did that ball start where I wanted it to or not? So when we look at that initial start direction, we would need to understand that with an iron, the face angle at impact is 75% responsible for where the ball starts, a little bit more at 85% with driver. Okay, so the tool that we're using makes a slight difference on how the ball behaves. And if we look at the bottom of the screen, we'll see ball flight equals face angle plus impact point plus path. For now, we're just going to focus on face angle and path. We're going to assume that we always hit the ball on the middle of the club face, which wouldn't that be beautiful? Alright, so let's look over here on the left side of the screen. I've got a yellow line. So let's pretend like that is our target out in the distance. We're looking from an overhead view. That's where we want the ball to go on a perfect shot. What we need to understand is if the ball doesn't go there, and in this particular question, pulls and snaps, what can be some common tendencies that you try to figure out as you hit these shots? So let's say you delivered the club face at impact looking, and this won't be perfect as far as actual numbers, but let's say that club face is looking 5 degrees left of target, but your swing path was exactly 0 perfect at the target. So if we go back to our formula, the face angle is super responsible for where the ball starts. So the ball is going to start really close to the red line in its start direction. Now the path was more to the right, so we could say the face is closed to the path, but the path was perfect. But long story short, that ball is going to hook. And then if you tried to figure that out and you weren't sure what's happening, and let's say you go, well, I think because the ball is hooking or starting too much left, I think I need to swing more to the right. So now what we see, the difference between green and red is much greater, so the ball is actually going to curve a lot more violently in that situation. Okay, so in that case, that would be an incorrect diagnosis on our part of what we're trying to do to fix ball flight. What we need to do is fix the red line, right? If we fix the red line, we don't have to fix blue or green. Now, let's delete those. Let's go into a pull. So the first example will be more of a snap type situation, especially when you're hitting a less lofted club like a driver or a wood. Ball tends to side spin greater. So a pull would be club face is looking left of target, and swing path is exactly the same amount left. So the ball is going to go straight to the left. So in that case, we may have a path and face issue that we would have to diagnose. So questions are great. Other than seeing a person swing, the best thing I can do is give you some good information on how to evaluate it yourself. Okay. So with those drivers, that's when we tend to hit the pulls and snaps, or specifically the snap. I think Scott is more concerned about that. For you, I would focus more on the club face and what it's doing either in the backswing or with your grip, or in the downswing, how you're releasing it. And that's something you'd be best served by seeing a good swing coach who can help you diagnose the problem. Okay. All right. One more thing. Now, this is back to the chalkboard. This is my homemade drawing of an overhead view of a driver. Now, because driver faces are not exactly perfectly straight, that would be a very straight looking face angle, there is a radius on your driver. So what we need to realize is, if we look at this bottom line, if you were to make an impact point that is 1 inch left of absolute center of the club face, it's going to have a net effect of closing the face 5.2 degrees at impact. Even though the face could be looking straight at impact, because of where you impacted the face, the ball will tend to hook or take off left. So therefore, again, if you didn't know what your contact point was on the face, and you go and try to start swinging more to the right, but you're still having contact point an inch off the heel, there's where you're going to get some really low, snapping, wild, very disturbing tee shots. Okay, so with driver, I would suggest you get either some people use foot spray or any kind of white talcum spray or talcum powder you can put on the club face, or you can use like a dry erase marker, put a little mark on the back of the ball, tee it up, and then it should leave an imprint on the club face to see where you're making contact. So with driver, it's actually way more important on what part of the face you're hitting to help you diagnose why the ball is behaving the way it is. Okay. With irons, we don't have that radius on the face. There is some disturbance of the club face, obviously, at impact, but it's not quite as dramatic because the face is straighter. Okay. So, long story short, we need to know 3 things to diagnose ball flight and why it hooks or pulls. Where on the club face did we hit the ball? About what was the club face angle at impact, and what kind of swing path are we using to create these shots? And again, much better off to go see a good swing coach to help you diagnose these things either with video or some sort of launch monitor than it is to guess. But you can certainly at least start to evaluate where you're hitting on the face by using one of these suggestions I've given you to at least know that part, and then you could perhaps start to formulate either a fix. If I'm not hitting on the sweet spot, probably I've got either a release problem or a swing path / swing plane problem that's causing me not to hit it on the sweet spot. Alright, so kind of quick, but hopefully this made some sense and we got a little bit smarter about why the ball behaves the way it does, because that's super important for us to learn. Okay, so thanks for watching. If you got any questions, let me know.